Since we started, we have trained more than 4,400 journalists. So our work is mainly capacity building for journalists. So we train journalists, but we don't just train them. We train them and we ask them to produce investigations. It's learning by doing. So we don't just bring you to an ARIJ or an investigative journalism basics workshop and then we say, nice to meet you. No, we ask you as a result of what you learned to work on an investigative report. And we have more than 700 investigative reports that we did throughout all those years. We have also, we work with universities. We work with students. We work with journalists who are either starting their career or have progressed in their career and so on. We have launched a lot of projects on the side. So one of them is Arab Fact Checkers Network, like we just mentioned. ARIJ as well. We worked on a very beautiful project with Dr. Ruba, which is I Will Not Stay Silent. Did anybody hear of this project before? Wafa, yeah. So I Will Not Stay Silent is a project that is that stands in the face of harassment at work, supporting women, any kind of violations against women and so on. And we have so many resources that are coming up end of this year on that particular project. So it would be great for everybody to check them out. So I'm going to go through 5 things that you can actually make use out of us. So we usually say, use us, exploit us, come to us for any of these 5 things and even more. But for the sake of time, I'm just going to go through 5 different things. Number 1, if you have an idea for an investigative report, we can support you. So if you have an idea and you have a hypothesis and you started doing your research and you think that this is something that needs to be done and is doable, talk to us. We have a special place on our website that says apply for or pitch a story or pitch an idea. The ideas go to our editors and they go through it and they either tell you need to work more on it, or we are going to support it. So we support it with money, we support it with trainings, we support it with mentorship until these investigative reports are done. And it doesn't matter if you have done investigative reporting before. We had journalists who did their reports with us and it was their first report. So even if you are a student, even if you are somebody who did 5 investigations, it's the same. What matters is the idea at the end of the day. And to be honest, I think students are very underrated because sometimes they have brilliant ideas and brilliant questions that we also always need to pay attention to. Networking. We are a network, so we are usually called the ARIJ network, شبكة ARIJ. So we have connections with so many journalists from the Arab world, from around the world. We also have under us, we also have connections with entities in the region, entities worldwide. So we usually have events, like we have a forum in a couple of weeks, in which if you attend, you get to be part of this network and make use of that network as well. Throughout the year, we have workshops, we have webinars, we have sessions, we have panels, we have discussions. Most of them are online, happening online now. And I think that makes it easier for a lot of people to attend and interact with each other. We usually announce them a lot on our social media platforms. So make sure that you are also following us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and so on, YouTube as well, to check out what training opportunities we have. Sometimes we open the floor for closed workshops, so we get to select a certain number of people to attend these workshops, and our expertise comes not just from the Arab world but also internationally. So it's worthwhile checking these opportunities a lot of the time.
Can you give us an example of a workshop you've done recently?
Sure. For example, recently we did you ask me about storytelling? Yes. Okay, so maybe that's a good example. So we recently did a workshop that focused on storytelling for journalists and fact checkers. So how can you present your story or your investigation in a storytelling format that is, that could reach out to more people, that could have a more human interest touch to it. We did that over 4 days with one of our trainers, and a lot of people applied for that, but we got to select only around 25 people. And that's because with workshops and closed workshops, we're very selective. So you have to prepare an application, you have to, send supporting material and so on. So it's like a competition. But when it comes to webinars and open sessions, everybody can attend. Everybody's welcome to come and join us. We also offer something called clinics. Now, in the past, it used to be safety and digital clinics. Do you know have you heard of this term before? Digital clinics, safety clinics for journalists? Wafa. Exactly. Thank you, Wafa. So these are one-to-one meetings or sessions with an expert, whether they are digital experts or safety experts. That can give you some guidance on how to secure your browsers, your passwords, your computer, your devices, and so on. They're free of charge, so anybody can register to attend those. Recently, we've also added a number of other clinics because we thought that they're very important for journalists in particular. So in addition to safety, so safety on ground, we're talking safety on ground, and cyber clinics, we have also added things that has to do with career clinics, legal clinics, and of course, wellness clinics, especially that this is becoming an important topic in recent years. And of course, we have experts who meet with the different journalists and give them the guidance and advice on those particular topics. The last thing that we offer also at ARIJ is resources. Many of the journalists in the Arab world struggle with resources, struggle with data, struggle with studies, struggle with statistics, struggle with so many things. So if you are struggling with any of these things, just come to us. Just drop us an email, talk to us on social media, come to us anytime, and we'd be more than happy to help you with any resource that you need in terms of things that has to do with corruption records or unemployment or children's slavery or economic situation, anything that has to do with an issue that you're looking for researches or data for, just come to us and we'll be more than happy to help you. And if you are also a student or a university professor, we also have the ARIJ curriculum, which is being taught at more than 70 universities in the Arab world. And this is something that we're very proud of, because investigative journalism, unfortunately, gets pushed away in most of the universities because nobody wants to get investigated. Nobody wants to learn the basics of investigative journalism. So we've managed to include our curriculum in more than 70 universities in the Arab world. Now, I think hypotheses work, but they work better when you pair them with a success story. And I want to tell you the story of one of my dear colleagues and one of my dear friends, Linda Maher. Linda Maher is a Palestinian journalist. Linda Maher started just like you. How many students do we have in the room? So just like you students, she was very passionate about investigative journalism. So she attended a workshop back in 2016 in Ramallah in Palestine, where with ARIJ, the workshop was about the basics of investigative journalism. And at that time, she was working on a report about people with special needs and how they are getting pushed away from employment and they're not getting the opportunities they deserve. So she did that investigation and it got published while she was still at university. Of course, Linda is somebody who wants to work harder and develop her skills. So she attended more workshops with ARIJ, things like storytelling workshops, things like fact-checking. She was also part of our data journalism diploma. We have a diploma that is focusing on data journalism. It's now in its, we finished the 5th year. So she was part of that as well. She won a number of awards and prizes for her work. She was also part of our ARIJ NED fellowship. So this is a fellowship that we offer to investigative journalists to come and work with us as part of the newsroom in ARIJ and to work on an investigation. She's not just now working on regional or local investigations, but she's also part of of projects that has to do with cross-border investigations. Does anybody know this term, cross-border investigations? Yeah? Other than Wafa? Okay, so cross-border investigations is when we work on investigations, for example, in Jordan, Lebanon, and then in Ukraine, US, when we work together. So it's a collaboration because sometimes you might get a topic that is not just happening in Jordan or in Lebanon. You have things that are happening in Jordan, in Lebanon, but also they are also happening in Ukraine, in Italy, in the US. So a group of journalists work together in order to collaborate and in order to make resources available for everyone to make the process easier and to get and to understand how other regions also work on such investigations. So Linda, of course, I asked Linda for her story, and one of the things that she said is that make sure that you tell journalists and especially students that you will be learning all the time. There is no point that you're going to be reaching and saying خلاص أنا تعلمت كل شيء, I learned everything and I'm now the best journalist in the world. That doesn't happen because every day in our life, in our times in specific, there's something new. And what really helped her is taking the risk, learning, and also exploring new opportunities. So that's actually those were the main 3 advices that she asked me to send to you. So take those into consideration. Recently, we have launched a helpline on WhatsApp. So if you have any question that comes to your mind, whether it's about cybersecurity, whether it's about ARIJ, whether it's about our workshops, whether it's about the forum that is happening in a couple of weeks, this is the QR code of. I'm going to leave it up, so if you want to scan it later. This is the helpline where you can go to and on WhatsApp ask us any question. So we would be more than happy to answer that. Okay, and then of course, as I said, in a couple of weeks, that's too soon, we have our 15th annual forum taking place in Amman. Between the 2nd and the 4th of December. It's a big event, which is happening both on ground and virtually. Yeah, so anybody who cannot make it to Amman, you can attend virtually. And I can ask Wajd, because Wajd also is one of our attendants and regular attendants. But how is the experience watching it virtually, Wajd?
one-way street بس مع أريج there is a platform, it's amazing, you can interact, you can network. It was amazing, honestly.
Yeah. So it's gonna feel like you're there. And just a little secret for everyone that we haven't shared, but people who are attending virtually are gonna get perks that the people on ground are not gonna attend. And that has to do with special guests that we have. So make sure you attend. And I'm not joking. I'm like, دايما. Great. I'm done with my presentation. I don't know how much time do we have. 5 minutes. Oh, great, brilliant. Wow, I was able to do it in 10 minutes. Amazing. So I'm all open for questions. If anybody has any questions, yes.
I have a question. When you were talking about ARIJ, how much, like, when someone sends something anonymously, how much evidence should they put into what? How much evidence should they put into it, and like, what exactly is asked for them to show you that yes, that person is actually doing something wrong, and how do you fact check it exactly?
Very, very good question. You have a brilliant future in investigative, yes, in investigative journalism. So, yes, so we have to take into consideration that a lot of the evidence that is put, maybe it's put in revenge of somebody. So maybe somebody who works in an organization and they ask for a raise and they didn't give them a raise. So they have some documents that they want to share. So they just put it up just because they want to, in revenge of what has been done to them. So we have a special committee that looks through these evidences. They do their own investigation as well. Into the company, the history of how, their behavior, if anything has been reported on them before. Also, we have a special committee that checks the authenticity of the documents that have been provided and so on. So it's not just, we upload a paper, oh, we have something, let's do an investigation about it. It has to go through a lot of fact-checking, verification, and so on. As I said before, the idea of whistleblowing and using such platform is still very new worldwide, let alone the Arab world. So I think the first phase should be more about educating the public, telling them that you have this secure website that you can trust. Because I think the most important thing is for people to trust this website. And I think in the Arab world, we have a very big issue with trust.
How are you doing that? How are you doing that?
So, in terms of the outreach for this project, it's divided into a number of phases. Let's talk about the first two. The first one is awareness, and that's taking so much time. So we have developed a special course to teach you about whistleblowing. What does it mean? How do you do it? How does it help your society or community, and so on. We have done a number of educational videos as well on that matter, so that we can be able to reach people on social media, because we're talking to regular people, we're not talking to journalists. Journalists are the ones that are going to take those documents and use them, but at the end of the day, you want to make use of the of regular people who might have such documents. So social media, but also through direct outreach. So for example, we partner with organizations who have their own communities and network in order to do that. Very good question, Marie. You had a question.
Yeah, I do. Okay, so I'm a law student and my name is Ray Al Khouri, and I'm working on, my colleague and I, Joseph Sadir, are working on a project. It's about Meet Jalam in the MENA region, and we'd like to know, and we include in it our cybersecurity laws and everything from Jordan to Lebanon to Egypt to UAE to KSA. So we'd like to know, how can ARIJ help us in that, like can help us in finding, I don't know, laws, case studies, because it's really hard to find case studies online regarding that issue. So yeah.
Very good question. So two things. We have legal experts who we work with, and we can pair you with those people so that you can speak to. And number two, we have a project called ARIJ Alif, which is a database that has different things that has to do with data, with case studies, whether it's legal case studies or economic researches or studies or things like that. So yes, so we have both. We have the experts and we have the database for the resources that you're asking about. I'm gonna write my email and leave. Or yes, yeah, but I'm gonna write my email anyways for everybody who wants to get in touch and ask questions. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming. To be honest, I expected a room of like 4 people, but you proved me wrong. So thank you very much, and please let's stay in touch. بقدر بس أخلي أو لا بقى خلص بحطه هون. It's fine. I'm gonna leave my email on the screen if you wanna grab a photo or خلص. Okay. Thank you so much.